This year's Next Fest on Steam was insane, with over 100 new indie titles coming out between now and the end of next year, and I played close to 100 of them, so I wanted to create a video series bringing a bunch of them to the channel. I've already released part 1, it's in the description of this video. This is part 2, just looking at some of these indie titles which really impressed me, made me wishlist them, and which I think you might want to do the same. So let's kick it off. First up, we have Dredge coming out sometime in 2023, developed by Black Salt Games. This is an adventure RPG, sail 'em up I guess, where you basically play the role of a fishing boat captain that crashes their boat on the rocks outside a small village and a small island, and then essentially has to work while paying off their debt and having the boat fixed. Your first hour or two with the game revolves around learning essentially how you do the fishing, which is this weird, almost like Tetris like mini game where the fish that you pull out of the ocean fits onto the inventory of your boat, and they all have different shapes and so the idea is that you're trying to drag as much of this fish back to the village per day so that you can sell that, pay off your debt, and actually start buying some upgrades for your fishing ship, which then allow you to have different fishing rods. In other words, you can catch different kinds of fish, and also to be able to dredge things off the bottom of the ocean and find parts that you can use to upgrade the engine and the lights and all of that of your ship. Along the way, you realize there's a bigger mystery afoot here, as strange and dangerous creatures attack you at night while you're out fishing, and this sets you off on an adventure trying to figure out what ties all these villages and all of these creatures and the general mystery together. You'll have to fish, gather, discover, and research additional equipment and abilities as you try to survive later out at night and solve the mystery of what exactly is plaguing this chain of islands and the greater danger that awaits you. Overall, I really like the aesthetic of the game. This very much reminds me of a roguelite experience, albeit this a roguelite experience with a boat. And I'm also really looking forward to trying this out on the Steam Deck when this releases in 2023, because this certainly fits the bill for exactly the portable kind of experience that I'm looking for in a Steam Deck and a game of this kind. Next up, we have Soulstone Survivors, a game that's out quite soon on the 7th of November by a developer called Gamesmithing Limited. This is a roguelite action RPG much along the same style as Vampire Survivors. Those of you unfamiliar with Vampire Survivors, this is of course a game that has dominated the Steam charts as well as the Steam Deck, and on looks alone you might dismiss Vampire Survivors as being something extremely simple, especially from a graphics perspective, but what you are not seeing is what lies underneath the surface there, which is a cold-hearted thief of your time. Trust me, if you try out Vampire Survivors even just for a little bit, you'll find yourself suddenly losing 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of your time, and it'll be because the game just completely sucks you in and you always just want to get that one more run done. Now, Soulstone Survivors is a take on that. So generally speaking, when you have games that are a success, you will have other games that try to copy that recipe, and certainly one can say that Soulstone Survivors is something that borrows heavily from the formula that works so incredibly well for Vampire Survivors. So in essence, what you're looking at here is you're looking at a roguelite where you choose a specific character to play with, you go onto a map of your choice as well, and then essentially you move around the map where a never-ending wave of enemies attack you, and you essentially kill them, raising your XP, and every time you level up, a random upgrade to your character drops, which allows you 3 to 5 or 6 choices, and you essentially try to unlock different builds for your character as you try to see how far you can get, both in the stage in terms of like progression to maybe getting an item or so, or in terms of level to see if you can actually reach the end boss of the map. Honestly, generally speaking, I'm not a fan of games that copy other games, simply due to the fact that you can just never compare to the original, but every once in a while you will find something that might not necessarily be better, but might be unique itself on its own, that it improves that recipe in certain ways, or at the very least offers a comparable super fun experience. To that point, I would say that Soulstone Survivors differentiates itself from the original in 2 areas. First of all, visually it certainly is an upgrade, and while that's not the most important thing in gaming for sure, it definitely does help. And then secondly, just sheer volume of choice. The version of the game I played was the demo, aka the prologue, and that featured a small sampling of the skills, maps, bosses, characters, weapons, runes, curses, kill tree, and etc. that would be available in the full game. On the 7th of November, we get the early access version of the game, which will essentially have half of everything in. And right now you can see that there's an insane development roadmap for this planned out that would eventually get us to 345 skills, 10 maps, like 8+ bosses, close to 21 different characters, all with different starting skills and different innate skills, 105 weapons, and a whole bunch of additional stuff, including developments on the skill trees, additional curses, which are modifiers on your runs, as well as runes. Certainly one of the best ways to make sure that your game stands on its own two legs in terms of quality is to take the things that work from the games that inspire your game and essentially just give more of that. And Soulstone Survivor definitely looks like it's doing that, and I look forward to trying out the early access when it starts on the 7th of November. The last game for today's video is Lego Bricktales, which as of you watching this video is most likely out already, as its release date is on the 12th of October. And this is as close as we can get to an adventure simulation freeform Lego experience for your PC. And if that doesn't give you enough reason to run and go buy this right now, then let me explain a little bit more. A couple of months back, I played Lego Builder's Journey on PC, and even though that felt more like a tech demo for graphics cards, it was a really awesome Lego experience. And the only real problem that I had with it was the fact that you were kind of like very much limited to exactly what you needed to build in each map of the puzzle or the diorama as you were trying to progress your way through the story of that game. That meant that even though some of the objectives felt like puzzles, you had to build the solution exactly the way that the game wanted you to build it for you to be able to proceed to the next area. Now that's certainly not the case with Bricktales, where essentially once you make it past the tutorial area of the game, you often find yourself in puzzles where you are given a large amount of bricks and free reign as to how you want to build the solution to the particular puzzle at hand. As an example, I was building a bridge from one side to the other side that had to support a certain amount of weight, and I could choose whether I wanted to do it with little pillars propping the bridge up, or whether I wanted to make struts around the top that would essentially strengthen holding the bridge together from the top, or a combination of those two. Now bear in mind, this is within the first hour of this game, and this is with a very limited amount of bricks and a very simple solution to a puzzle. Once you start diving deeper into the story of the game, it gets quite a lot more complicated, and essentially you often find situations where you have to build complex machinery like a helicopter or a plane or a car or a generator or something like that, and in those cases you are very much left to your own devices as to what you want to use to build the exact solution that you're looking for. Bear in mind that this is an adventure game at heart, so you'll be playing the role of a young boy whose grandfather, a genius inventor, tasked them with traveling through time, aka different biomes, to rebuild all the machinery needed to essentially power a mysterious device based on alien technology that the genius grandfather is working on. This means you'll be traveling to many different locales, ranging from the Amazon, where you have to rescue a downed plane by rebuilding all the machinery necessary for the plane to be operated again, to an old amusement park where all of the rides have fallen into disrepair and you have to repair all of them so you can open the park again to the public. All of this culminates in sandbox mode, which is unlocked as you finish each biome, allowing you to play around with all of the different structures and constructions that you were able to build during that episode, eventually combining all of it together at the end. Honestly, Lego's been such an amazing part of my life, and while I can't sit on the couch in front of the TV building the fucking Millennium Falcon for the 15th time anymore, this is by far the most comprehensive digital Lego experience that I've ever seen in this medium, and if anything, this might be a very important jumpstone for us to finally get into an all-inclusive Lego game, which essentially just gives you a massive sandbox and a whole bunch of blocks and says go build and have fun. And that's gonna be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I've got a couple of more of these coming, but let me know in the comments down below which one of these games piqued your interest, and feel free to ask me some additional questions or anything that I might not have explained or covered well enough. I'm trying to keep these videos and these previews short and easily watchable, and I might have skipped over one or two things. But that's it from me. It's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are in the world. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me.